Ready to roll.
Abadi Gani, everyone. Welcome to the Conscious Corner. This is Professor Amin Ra, Professor Emeritus, California State University of Long Beach, Africana Studies Department, uh, longtime activist, as well as a former city councilman for the city of Compton, former Compton College Board of Trustees, and Compton Unified School District Board of Trustees. We want to welcome you. You found your place and you found your family in a peaceful place. We wish all of you blessings without numbers and all good things without end. We have a very, very important program this evening, and we want to start right away because we don't want to waste no time with just just talking around. We want to welcome Dr. Daniel Tabor, who will be discussing Black men for Kamala Harris with regard to politics and Black people, period. Danny has a rich history of activism at Cal State Long Beach and the Inglewood community. I met Danny at Long Beach, and he was one of the most popular and most active students and leaders on the campus, inspiring other people to seek education and to seek activism with regards to liberating that school where they would let more African Americans in school, as well as provide them the support to get them to be retained as well as graduate. And he played a vital role in that area. And he inspired me as a leader. And when he started the first Youth Pact, Black American Political Association, he asked me to come speak. I'll never forget that. It was a very important thing. He served as mayor of Inglewood, three-time council person, and he's still on the front line seeking political power, empowerment for the African American community and for all humanity that is on the righteous side of goodness. So without further delay, we're going to turn it over to Brother Dr. Daniel Tabor, and he will carry on with any other accolades that he has, as well as make some points, and then we're going to open it up for discussion. Again, we see a host of beautiful people, Brother Ijao and other individuals from Cal State Long Beach, and we really appreciate that. Brother Dr. Dr. Tabor, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, brother Amin Ra, thank you so very much for having me this evening, allowing us to have this conversation. And for those of you that don't know, this Conscious Corner is a weekly podcast that Brother Amin Ra hosts, and it was an educational experience for me. You know, you go to a predominantly white institution like Cal State University Long Beach, and you run into conscious Black folk, and you realize, oh, I'm supposed to be here. It was ordained that way. And that's how I felt about my experiences at Cal State University Long Beach. I mean, not just lifelong friends, but lifelong activists in the community working to the betterment and to the interests of Black folks. And as they say, unashamed, unapologetically Black. It ain't no question about it at any point in time. And we hold it up. I represent an organization of Black men who've made the commitment to support Kamala Harris without any equivocation at all. The reality was that we needed a candidate that represented the kinds of issues and concerns that we have. We needed a candidate that spoke to the aspirations we have for this country. And like many people, we thought, maybe the time had passed for President Joe Biden to run for re-election. And when he came to that realization and endorsed Kamala Harris, it became a time for activism. No sitting on the fence. And that's pretty much, no sitting on the fence is pretty much the theme for my conversation this evening, because we in our community, we begin most political conversations with what's in it for me. And having served in elective office, having worked in campaigns from the age of 6, I can tell you nothing's in it for you if you're not putting anything in it. No free ride, as folks say. And I almost wanted to share an expression we used to use when we was undergrads, but I guess I gotten too old to use that one. I'll have to keep that private for now. But that no free ride conversation. Y'all remember it. So here we are. We're 80 plus days out from the potential. And I say potential because it only happens if we step up and do what we need to do if we exercise our constitutional right and we cast our ballot for Kamala Harris for president of the United States, then it becomes the law of the land. But here we are 80 days out, and we still have people, particularly young folks. When I say young folks, I mean 40, 30, 20-year-olds, some of whom have never voted, some are who questioning why shouldn't they vote for this other guy, 45, and not seeing their place, their role, their responsibility as clearly as some of us others. And so, I come from an era at Cal State University, Long Beach, where we used to say to people, it might be time for a checkup from the neck up. And I think here we are, we've arrived at that time. Some of you may know Barry Thomas and Doug Roddy and Stanley Stain. We used to have this organization called the African Collective. And it was about exercising political power through action in the community. And we took on even City Hall of Los Angeles as young men in the community. I was elected to the city council in Inglewood, and they were new homeowners and working out of college and graduate in law school. And we were trying to figure out why the Baldwin Hills Mall was being sold and there was no Black equity in the deal. And so we created this organization called the African Collective and structured it in the same way we did every participatory collaborative organization, with everybody having a voice. And we would say to people, come to the meetings, come to the actions, but exercise your critical thinking process. And with that, don't let us have to give you a checkup from the neck up. If you get it wrong, let's correct you. Let's get you right, so that when you're out there, you're speaking on behalf of the people, and you're not a self-interest body, but you're a community body. And that's what we were. That's what we are today. And that's why I'm excited about this opportunity to have this conversation. Not much is known about the work that Kamala has done throughout her political career here in both California and in Washington, D.C. And there is a significant reason for that. How many of you can name right now the Attorney General of the state of California? The name doesn't pop off the charts because people don't see the Attorney General as a policy maker, but as a policy enforcer. And in her role in that process, she indeed served as the chief legal representative in the state of California. She went on to get elected to the United States Senate, where she served on committees, where she did work on behalf of all of Californians, but never forgetting her Blackness and her history, both as a student at Howard University, but more importantly, as a Black woman in America. The reality confronts her every day. And now we see her as Vice President of the United States with an opportunity to achieve the highest aim of any elected official in the land, that is, become President of the United States. But again, it won't happen if the Black voice and the Black vote don't turn out to make it so. It's within our responsibility as citizens of this republic to exercise that constitutional vote. But as conscious men, what I want to say to you tonight is we should be intentionally, critically civil, a concept championed by Dr. Lewis King that really says that we have the responsibility as participants in this process to be civil, but at all times to be intentional and to be critical. And not critical in the sense of chastising, but critical in the sense of analyzing and conceptualizing what is in our interest and communicating that interest to the next person, to the next young person, to the neighbor, to the friend, so that we're clear when we attempt to hold folks accountable that we have communicated what we ourselves will be accountable for and what our expectation of accountability looks like when we look at them and we look at others in the community. We cannot have I'll use this expression, we cannot have the barbershop conversations of rumor and innuendo and urban legend and not utilize our critical consciousness and seek the facts and find out what the truth of the matter is and share that truth in ways that people can understand. As we talk about reaching out to young people, we're men who are supporting Black men for Kamala 2024 is our organization, but it's really about reaching out to young people to explain to them, men and young women, why this is a critical time, why can be no sitting on the fence, what issues we see, but more importantly and more strategically, these are also times to listen, to learn from these young folks about what role they have and what world they envision for themselves and how they see the current world we live in affecting their future, because it is their future that we should be guarding in this process. So with that, let me just say that I hope that there are questions and conversations. There are other pieces that I want to bring to this, but clearly what's most important is that we all see that we cannot, that we've got to get engaged, and through that engagement become more aware of what the facts are around her success as an elected official, her contribution to our community, her work on our behalf. Even though we may not know it by heart, we need to understand what she's been doing. And then when we find areas of conflict where we disagree, that's fine, but we can disagree civilly. And that is our responsibility as well, to show and demonstrate how civil people engage in disagreement, understanding, seeking a common understanding to move forward from that point. So with that, Brother Ra, take questions and follow your lead.
Okay, Bonnie Ghani again, everyone. This is Professor Amin Ra. We also want
His name is Santa Sana.
Want to make this clear. We're here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and we talk Black and African, but we are for all humanity. That's righteous humanity. And so the point is that we recognize that politics is an essential institution that many of us have been discouraged from our ancestors and our mothers and fathers. We know for a lot of reasons. Some because we just had to work and do the best we can, and we didn't have time to get involved, and other reasons. But the point is that we're moving forward with regards to learning the importance of local politics, county politics, statewide politics, because you're getting taxed to pay for all these individuals to represent you. And so we have an opportunity to get a woman president, an African-American woman president. And, you can have any challenges that you want. And we're here to ask you that if you do have hesitation or if you want to get involved, Dr. Daniel Tabor is the one to contact under the auspices of Black men for Kamala Harris, but we take Black women and Black people in general also. So we're going to go around and ask questions. And secondly, I want to say that this platform is brought forth by the Community Education Network that was put together by Roski Mascani, Cal State Long Beach alumni under the name at that time of Rigo Moore, who has transcended using this tool using this process as a tool and a weapon for our liberation and our growth and development. And so we ask you that if you're not doing something on Tuesdays or Wednesday, his show is Wednesday at 6. But we're gonna go around the horn and talk about any issues that you have to ask Dr. Tabor about Kamala Harris, because there's a lot of rumors going out. She was a prosecutor. She prosecuted a bunch of Black people. A couple brothers came up to me with that. I said, name me one person she prosecuted, They couldn't come up with one person. I said, this is just, white right wing. Yeah, that's what prosecutors do. That's their job, to prosecute. You understand? I'm a victim of COINTELPRO. It locked me up for a little while. So I understand that. The brothers and sisters don't run the justice system. You understand? White America do. But anyway, let's get down to the questions about Kamala and a few other things that, and then there's some people say, oh, she married to a Jew. Hey, you got friends married to white people. White people helped in the abolition. White people, some white people, they trip. They just love Black people. You understand? When you get Black, you don't go back. That's just it. And so, they be attractive to Black women. What can you say? And some black women be attracted to white men. What can you say? Mind your own business, as the brother say. You know, and let's get on with these questions and answers. We're going to start off with Brother Machinda out of Louisiana. Brother Machinda, you have any questions you want to ask Dr. Tabor? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Good evening. Yeah. No, I just appreciate the brother showing up tonight. You know, I'm down here in the South, which is pretty much where I'm at, where we at, the red state. You know, it's a difficult level of ignorance that we combat down here on a regular basis. But you know, I'm doing my part, you know, as far as just trying to enlighten people. We got to make a choice, you know, and you know, I've been participating, like you say, I've been involved in the political game since I was about 5 or 6 years old, you know, growing up, campaigning, bird dogging, all the way, been to, you know, conventions and all kind of things. But anyway, just trying to enlighten the next person that I run into, you know, about the truth. You know, got to make a choice. You know, it's kind of a late in the game to be trying to, you know, to be ignorant. But I appreciate you shed some light tonight, and I just look forward to hearing more. You know, what I haven't heard. You know, there's a lot I know, but you know, I just appreciate you coming on. Let somebody else talk tonight. Thank you.
All right. Brother, I hear you out of Michigan, Detroit. What's going on? You have any questions for the guests? You're on mute, Ahi. You still on mute, Ahi. All right, we're gonna go with Brother Jelani Bakari. Jelani, you have any questions for Danny? Doctor, I keep forgetting.
No, Brother Ryan, everybody, look, if so many folks have known me as Danny before the doctor, so we rolling with Danny. It's all good.
All right.
That's not disrespectful in any way. And I see your brother Bruce Rush. We're waiting for Jelani to come on, but Bruce is back there in Philadelphia, so I see him on the line too.
Okay, we'll go with him next. Go ahead. I hear you want to make any comment. Detroit.
No comment. Just enjoying the conversation as usual. And I remember when Brother Tabor was at the beginning of his political journey, and it's good to see the brother still youthful. I'm just going to sit back and listen to the good word this evening.
Good,
Thank
good,
you.
good. All right, Brother Jelani Bakari. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Tabor. What's the best way that you feel that we can help in our local community by, what is it that we can do that can show our collective effort?
So Brother Jelani, there's a truism, and that is that all politics is local. You know, it might ring nationally, but it's really all local. And you know, I would ask that you start with your family and make sure that they're clear on the issues and clear on the points, and that they understand that they should, as you are talking to them, they should be talking to their friends, and you're talking to your friends, and then it's your neighbors, you know, across the street, down the street. We all know folks who talk a lot and do very little. There's a brother on the call right now who walked every street in my district with me when I walked. He probably walked more blocks than I did, who's on the call. Not, I thought I saw Halisi on the call a little second ago, and I know I wouldn't have had the success I had without brothers like Halisi, who were knocking on doors right along with me. And that's where we got to take this. We, you know, I said earlier that our intentionality should be to make sure that young people, the 40 to 30 to 20 set young people, and even the 18, 17, 18-year-olds who will have a chance to vote, if not in this election, in the spring elections, that they understand what this is all about, from what's in it for us and what we have to do to get what is ours. And that it's not about having someone give us anything in the political process. It is about the work we put in to have a voice that says to those who are elected we can hold you accountable because we were there to get you in office. It's not the threat, that's the reality. But if we only wave at them when they pass by, and I'm gonna talk about money in a second, but we have to encourage and educate to the point where people see why it's important. What happens when you get involved, not when you vote, but what happens when you get involved and you begin to put pressure on the system so that it reflects your interests, whether it's the school district, in your church, in your block club, community organization, in your social fraternal organization. It's all the same. Politics is a human activity that is not about power. It's about the exercise of power. And we have to want the power to be exercised in our interests. And that can only happen when those in power know what our interests are.
Any other question? Okay, we're gonna go to what was that other person you had mentioned?
Brother Bruce Rush, there he is.
Okay, Brother Bruce.
Yes, how are you? I'm here in Philadelphia, and Dan and I go way back. We both happen to be members of the same fraternal organization. And my question to Danny, that probably a lot of other people have, is I have an 18-year-old in my house. I have him registered to vote, and no matter what I say each day, and no matter how much money I give, my biggest challenge is going to be, what is it that I can do other than making sure he's in my house to go vote? They vote to convince him that he has to do this. What are some of the things that people are doing to convince those who haven't voted or first-time voters to make that move?
Brother Bruce, we're here in Los Angeles and now trying to expand through California this notion of having barbershop conversations with young men, where we find them on Saturday afternoons or Sunday mornings, or when they're sitting in a space that they feel comfortable in and willing to talk. We use the barbershop as that sort of analogy of that place where we can have that conversation and just keep it 100. But it's got to be a conversation first. And we, the elder in the conversation, have to listen more than we talk, because they may not be comfortable explaining, or may not have the language or the vocabulary to really explain what their concern is, or what their fear is, or what they've heard. But if we listen well enough, we can help them see both the truth and a lie. And pointing out the lie, showing them then the truth, helps us communicate what we've been saying is important. And not that we're trying to tell them anything, but we're concerned about their future, and we want them to understand that our concern is why we're talking to them, why we're listening to them, and why we're trying to share with them what we see, in hopes that they will see it and act as we want, not just want them to act, but act in their own best interest. In that way, it's not going to happen. And I apologize, Brother Rod. It's not going to happen with just one conversation. If it does, that's wonderful. But it really has to happen in a group where it's a group where you're talking not just to your son, but you're talking to your son and a few of his friends. So you get them engaged in a conversation where they're sharing their thoughts and their knowledge, and they begin to see how the logic or the misapplied logic doesn't ring true. And now you can add truth to that conversation, and they collectively see it, and it becomes something they can then share with others. It's difficult for the dad to talk to the son, because we've all the men in the house know that we always thought, oh, well, dad really doesn't know. He's not living the life I'm living. But the truth is, we're now living the life he lived.
Brother Bruce, I'm Professor Amin Ra. What I did is I had went and got the application for permanent absentee voting. And everything comes to the house. And once it comes to the house, I encourage them to fill out the ballot and just sign it. Sometimes young people don't want to participate because they think you're encouraging on their time. But if you have the ability to get the absentee ballot, and sometimes, I just fill it out and just have them sign it
Well,
and
on
say,
that thought,
vote by proxy.
on that
Vote
thought,
by proxy.
my thought is, since this is his first time, I just think it's going to be more meaningful if I go with him, if I'm prepared to go with him and cast my vote at the polling place at the same time. Because over the last few years, while I've done it by mail, I'm very determined to have him understand the feel of what it feels like to be there at the polling place to do his own thing, and I want to be there with him to share that with him.
Well, I commend you on just educating and discussing it with your son. Most people don't even do that. You understand? Some of them don't even know where their kids at on voting day. And they're not involved in the city council. They don't know their council person. They don't know their county representative. But it affects them. It affects them with laws, all kind of different little nuisance laws, getting parking tickets and the increase of various forms of services that are available to them. You know, who is for employment and jobs, and who is for public safety with regards to getting rid of crime in the community and things of that nature. And so what we do, we don't give up on our kids. You know, we challenge them, but we cherish them. But at the same time, that's a good idea to take them to the poll and get them that experience, and hopefully that works. But for kids, for those that's on the Zoom, that have kids that just don't feel like they have the time or the interest, I would go absentee ballot. But I appreciate your trying to educate your kids to the value of politics. Because when I was coming up, my mother and them didn't even talk about politics. They talked about a job and feeding you some biscuits and pinto beans and rice all week. You understand? It's a whole new different game. Well, but we're more educated now, and we're more conscious now, and it's good to have a conscious parent like yourself. And we want to thank you for that effort. Elder Joe Paul, you there?
You're muted, Joe Paul.
I'm here.
All right, do you have any questions?
Not a question, more just a comment. First of all, Danny, thank you for really taking the initiative to harmonize our efforts. We all have an interest in this particular candidate. Some of us have deeper histories with her than others and so forth, but harmonizing our efforts, especially seeing this robust group of people from across the country. What I would like to add is people in custody in county jails around the country are innocent until proven guilty unless they've been adjudicated. And quite often they're forgotten as constituents and voters. So they're inadvertently disenfranchised because of the current condition they're in versus their actual legal disenfranchisement. Most folks across the country, I could speak here in California, we fought so hard to create laws for access back to the vote for felons that the only people here now who are ineligible to vote are those in state prison or those in any federal institution. Parolees have the right to vote. People in county jail have the right to vote. And we go inside of these institutions and we register folks who are eligible, but we also encourage those in state prison to be able to talk to their network of friends, family, and associates who are eligible to vote because they've seen the direct impact of our lobbying, of our impact of advocacy. And so for us, we've leveraged the interest that people have and their respective needs at hand in those interests. So I would just add that. I think everything else has been very valuably presented, particularly around the young people and those approaches. But don't forget about our brothers. Black people are still the highest group of incarcerated folks nationally, based on our percentage in the population. And so I would encourage you to challenge your sheriffs in your local counties across the country. And remember that people still have a right to vote if they have not been adjudicated, even if you don't have, these respective laws like we have here in California. Don't forget our brothers behind the bars.
Danny, you want to respond?
I just want to say, those of you who don't know Joe Paul, he's not talking about this in a theoretical standpoint. this brother lives in this space and works in this space, and it's been my honor to work side by side with him for a number of years now, and it's it 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 becomes a generational piece. Um, I need to share with everybody. My youngest daughter Sinclaire is on the call with us. Sinclaire, thank you for the heart. Sinclaire
Hi,
had the
everybody.
Sinclaire had the experience going to Tehachapi and talking to the men there, and came home saying, no, we cannot forget those who are behind bars. So I appreciate that. I want to pivot this a little bit, because at the
Before you
beginning, as
go
I
there,
said,
let me just respond to Elder Joe.
go ahead, please.
Because he said that, until they're innocent until proven guilty. There are some people that was proven guilty that was innocent. You understand?
Just
and there are a lot of them, and that's why the jails are over and the prisons are overflowed. Every year, every week, or 2 a month, we hear about a person did 20 years and DNA cleared them, and they went before parole boards that denied them parole. They went before judges that, even though they were signed the release, and the judge refused to sign it, and one brother died. So there is challenge, and you got police in gangs, and then you got police that have been found guilty of fabricating evidence, planting guns on people, planting drugs on people, all through this country. So I'm just saying that I agree. If they did something wrong and they got caught, the excessive imprisonment is wrong. The same thing a white boy did, he gets probation. The same thing the brother do it, he gets 20 years. And so that's what they were talking about, the difference between powder and crack. So I'm just saying that there's a lot. That's why local politics and voting is important, and consciousness and things of that nature. It's not, that from that standpoint. But at the same time, it's a beautiful. Danny, Dr. Tabor, you had something else you wanted to say.
But just that, as I said earlier, all politics is local. So are the processes of making policy and determining how the systems will work for us, whether it be the criminal justice system or the educational system. I tell community groups, when I'm talking to them about their right and responsibility, I ask the question of many college educated groups, what is the most valuable asset they've invested in? And typically they say their home. And so then I go on to say, so if the home is the most valuable asset and you've been taught to critically think, then how can there be an underperforming school in your neighborhood if you realize that underperforming school impacts the value of your most important asset, your home? And they stop, because they don't connect their responsibility to improve the process of education for other children to what benefit it really has for them. And so I use that example to say that in our community, when we start to think about what we want to have happen in our community, we really should start to think about what are we ready to do to help make those things happen, and not cast it off to someone else, but to take a role in it and to feed it and nurture it so that it grows organically in our own neighborhoods and spreads from there. That's the one way of ensuring that we get what's in our best interest. I saw Joe Paul's hand. I want to come back to him, and then Ra, I got a question for you.
I just want to make one comment to what Professor Ra had said, because we know that, but here's the power of the vote. That we've been able to support our Attorney General Rob Bonta. We've been able to support our DA George Gascon by helping them to become elected or maintain their offices, and then holding them accountable to fair and equitable access to justice, whether it's through conviction integrity units that both of those departments have in place now to address those inequities that you just referenced. The only way that we can show up and try to amend or repair the harm of racism is to do exactly what we're on this call for, and that's show up at the polls. That's to go and lobby the halls of our state legislature, even our federal government, and hold these folks accountable. And so I think by those very points that you raised, it's important that we use those points, those historical ailments that our people have suffered through, to demonstrate even more why we got to show up at these polls, because we're seeing results. It's slow, it's steady, but we're seeing results. More folks have come home after life sentences. Those have been wrongfully convicted. And I'm not talking about innocence projects. I'm talking about being adjudicated through the courts that sentenced them. And so I'm really thrilled about what we're doing. And I think to this point, and Sinclaire, I saw your question. I mean, it's just this very thing that we provide the details and we eliminate the misnomers and the rumors and conjecture that people are operating off of, because half the time they just don't know. So I appreciate the point, Professor Rob.
I appreciate your work. It ain't easy getting people to hire people that got an F behind their name. It's not easy. But go ahead, Dan. You had a question?
So actually, I want to ask Brother Rasaki if he would put the link to that video that you were sharing when
Brother
you shared
Rashaki.
the screen. I'm sorry, say again.
You talking about Rashaki?
Rashaki, Brother Rashaki, if he would share that I believed it was him sharing that video of that YouTube video of Kamala Harris when she was state attorney general, because I think that piece is an educational piece that we're placing on our website, but we want really people to share, to listen to and to share, because she's talking about what she believes as a prosecutor and what she's done in both the office of Attorney General and as United States. Well, she wasn't senator at this point, but it responds to the myth that she was supportive of the notion of mass incarceration, and it explains that roles and actions she took to reduce the mass incarceration while she was still Attorney General. So I don't know if we have time to play it now, but I wanted them to have the link to it so they can get it. This is the Black Men for Kamala Harris website here, and I believe it's on our website.
Okay, I will put that. You want me to put the video up now?
Or actually, to put the link maybe in the chat so folks can copy
chat?
it and they can play the video at their time.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, we're gonna go with Brother Ijao. Ijao is are you there, Ijao?
There he
Yes,
is.
sir, brother. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Greetings, brothers. Brother Tabor, brother Professor Raw, and all the other Black men and women on the line. Greetings to my Omega brothers and my other Divine Nine brothers and sisters on the line. Brother Danny, it's great to be connected with you, brother, and thank you for connecting me with the Kamala for President line. And I've been involved with this movement, and it's an honor to be involved with it. And I've also been involved with a movement called Black Men Build. And thank you, Santi Sana, Professor Raw, for being on the line a few weeks back, being able to present Black Men Build to this conscious connection. And Black Men Build is an organization where we're bringing Black men together, young and old. And one of our last meetings, we met with a bunch of younger brothers talking about the need. They look to me as an elder, and the younger brothers respect me as an elder. And I am an elder. I mean, hey, I'm 64 years old and moving on. And I'm grateful to be here. But we have what is called a men's circle. And it's where young men and old men, we meet in a circle. And we have a judgment-free zone where men can talk without being judged about what they're going through. And a lot of these young brothers, like I told you before, they're going through just survival, just general survival. Some of them are living in cars or living on the streets, don't know where they're going to get a meal at. So we got to meet them where they're at. Some of them are hungry, don't have nothing to eat. So they're not concerned about getting nothing. They're not concerned about voting. They just concerned about living day to day. Some of them are still caught up in gang banging and still caught up in all those other elements out here on the street. And then they're angry. So, we have to still address all of those things. And they have a lack of knowledge. We're destroyed for a lack of knowledge. But I told them, I share with them about how our ancestors fought and died for that right to vote. and they cannot let that go by because of the fact their grandmothers and grandfathers walked miles and miles and miles just to have that right, and they cannot just let that go by. So just in the spirit of the sister running for president, it's important that we not let them forget, and we not forget where we came from and where we're going, because Project 2025
All right.
is here. And they ready to put us back in our shackles again, brothers and sisters. We don't wake up. So I just thank you, Professor Rod. Thank you, Dr. Tabor. I thank everybody on the line. And it's an honor to be on there with you all.
All right. Dan, you want to respond?
Yeah, just thank you, brother Jawa. We really appreciate you and the work you're doing. And you didn't mention that you've been sitting at the table registering folks to vote at all the frat games this season, and even at the fatherhood conference there at Cal State Dominguez Hills that Saturday morning. You and Brothers of Omega Psi Phi were there. This is the clip that I was referring to, the clip that's being shared on the screen, and it really is, she's part of a panel at this point, and talking about where things were when she became Attorney General, and Brother Joe Paul can do a much better job of explaining what this was really about than I, but it, for me, gave me what I needed in order to stand before my daughter and others and say that it's a myth that she was the leader of mass incarceration, because during that time, in her role as Attorney General, she sought to reduce sentencing and to seek clarity of sentences and to hold the police departments accountable for the work that they were doing, not just when they were responding to crime, but when they were simply walking in the communities. And she talked about it in a personal way, in a way that I would want another elected official to make it known and to keep it plain. And so this is I think something that, if you haven't seen it, definitely we want to make sure we got the link in the chat for you to pull up.
Okay, Dr. Tabor, excuse
yes.
me. You said this is on YouTube, because I don't have a link for it.
Okay.
Would you like, it's 2 minutes, and well, does he have one, or do you want to play it on here? Because it's 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
If there be no objection, I'd like to play it here. And Brother Joe Paul, if you have the link, put it in the chat, please.
Okay, you want me to go ahead and play it?
Please do.
Okay, I'm gonna do that now. First of all, let me make sure I have to
okay.
Allow the sound. Make sure I do that first. We won't have the sound. All right, that's done. Here we go.
Nobody cares about the fact that we've got a bunch of young black and brown men in prison. That argument is not working. What I suggest we do as African Americans is own this issue in law enforcement and then define it in the way that works for us, because it is a myth to say that African Americans don't want law enforcement. We do. We want our grandmothers to be able to walk to church and be safe. We want our babies to be able to walk to the park and be safe. What we don't want is racial profiling. What we don't want is excessive force. That's right. What we don't want is to have our civil liberties and civil rights be stripped. But we do want law enforcement. So let's define it in the way that works for us by saying, I want community policing. I want a police department that works in my neighborhood and in my community, that reflects the mores and the culture and respects my grandmother, again, when they walk in to talk to her. I want a system of accountability in the criminal justice system that says law enforcement needs to own crime prevention as much as it talks about long sentences. Because nationally, only 18% of serious crime results in an arrest. So if I, as law enforcement, with my responsibility to keep you safe, only talk about keeping you safe by sending people to prison for a long time, I'm necessarily going to fall short, because the vast majority of that crime's not even hitting my system. So if I'm going to keep my promise to you to keep you safe, I better talk with you about what I'm doing in terms of crime prevention, which means recognizing that people coming out of the state prisons, 60% will recidivate if we don't get them in reentry programs, if we don't get them in job training, job readiness, get them in programs that deal with their substance abuse, get them in meaningful housing and employment so they don't recidivate. We could talk about it in terms of, is it the right thing to do? Of course it is. But you know, I'm done talking about it like that. I'll just talk about it on this basis. If that person commits another crime, I have to spend $10,000 to try that felony. They sit in my county jail for $35,000 a year. I'm running a reentry program out of my office in San Francisco DA's office that brings folks back into the community at an expense of $8,000 a year, guarantees them employment, guarantees them meaningful reunification with their family.
So how many of you all knew any of that? Raise your hand. See, that's facts. And that's why I say we have to educate ourselves so that we can educate young folk and educate our neighbors and educate others. Brother Jelani, I saw your hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just raising my hand.
Oh.
I saw that.
Yeah.
You know, they have a thing like 99 facts about Kamala Harris taking care of black folks, you know, in the criminal justice system. That's a really good one, too.
All right. Brother Elder Joe Paul, you had your hand up?
Yeah, just right quick. I appreciate you for having that video clip played. I don't have it, so it's good to see it. But that program was called Back on Track when she was San Francisco DA. She took that same model, that same program when she became Attorney General for California and launched the California Back on Track program. And I had the pleasure of leading it here in LA County. We piloted it right here in our county jail system. I was a key partner in it. That actually led to me being our guest at the State of the Union address in 2020. And so these are not things that, you know, sound bites on video clips or interviews. These are actual lived experiences where we saw people come home successfully. She took her seat as Attorney General, as she called herself, the top cop in California, and leveraged that weight to hold sheriff's departments accountable for doing better as far as rehabilitation. So, you know, I just appreciate the fact, Danny, that you are really touting these realities and that, you know, you have people around you that can corroborate this in real time and, you know, add real life to, you know, this hope and optimism that everybody's building off of as far as this campaign she's in.
All right.
Brother Ra, we've got how much, 7 or 8 minutes?
What timing?
According to my clock says 6:51.
Oh no, we got till at least 7 or a little longer.
Okay. All right. All right.
You know, the most important thing, brother, is that as Brother Bruce Rush was saying, you know, we're trying to get young people to want to vote.
Yes.
To see the importance of vote. We want them to want to go to school, want to learn vocational or intellectual classes that could lead to a viable lifestyle. That's why you say the home is the primary educating unit. You prepare the attitude and understanding of your children through your actions and through your winning their hearts and minds, rather than D-Dog and Wild Dog and C-Dog and B-Dog winning their hearts and minds. And you don't have to, but you should encourage the values over dinner table or while they're eating the food that you feed them, as be someday ordered or something like that, that you encourage them by example and by saying, look, you know, if you love me, I'm your daddy, I'm your mom. I want you to learn to love this. My ability to take care of you is because of this system we live in. And one of the primary roles of this system is voting, education, economic development, and homes and land. And so that, you know, that's something they got to get from people that they love and respect. But first, you can't never lose the love of your children. I don't care if they're 15 or 16, give them a hug, tell them you love them every day, win their hearts and minds. And then you can encourage the discipline the personal discipline and character that you want them to have. You understand? The mark of a child is how they act when they ain't around you, not when they're around you. You understand? So it's a struggle. I know I struggle with my kids. You understand? But at the same time, we have to continue our struggle to win their hearts and minds and let them know that, you don't have to steal. Don't do that. One mistake at 18 can ruin your life for the rest of your life. You understand? So you're a young adult, and you prepare them to understand how wicked the system is toward Black people, women, men, and children. But anyway, we're going to go ahead with the questions. Brother Anthony Thomas, you have any comments or questions? Are you there, Anthony? You may be watching the convention.
Brother P. Anthony, out of Sacramento, California.
Yeah.
He's I take that back. He's actually out of Los Angeles, but he lives and works in Sacramento.
Okay, we'll move to Ivory Dawson. Are you there, Ivory Dawson? You're on mute. Well, what about? Okay,
there he is. There he is.
All right. Yes. I'm loving what I'm hearing here. It's a wonderful conversation. It's very much needed. Very much needed. As an educator who's traveled the country for 25 years, I've run into so many young people that didn't have fathers in the home. And that was a very important shortcoming or an unfortunate situation. I was blessed by having a foster father, and there was a lot of love, and a lot of education. He was old school. He was born in 1898, and you learn right from wrong. I remember a situation where the lights went out in New York, and the whole Eastern Seaboard went dark. And I happened to be in the supermarket around Thanksgiving. And a brother came up to me and tossed a turkey and said, "Hey, the door is open, you can run." And the idea was, where could I go with a stolen turkey? I was 14 years old, thereabouts. And I realized I couldn't go home with a stolen item. And so many other people around me were able to do that. And if you don't have that home training, if you don't have a father in the home, and it is very difficult. So, it does start with learning right from wrong and learning the importance of education, and then the importance of casting a vote. But I remember getting the talk when I was a child, and that included elements of what I do now when I'm teaching children, the definition of probable cause. I hear so many kids talking about, I was on the street corner and I wasn't doing nothing when they rolled up on me. 5-0 rolled up on me, not knowing that doing nothing on the corner is probable cause. So there's a deep-seated situation that has to be remedied, especially in the Black family, of teaching right from wrong, introducing young people to the need for education and to learn as much as you can for as long as you can, and the importance of voting. I remember listening to the State of the Union address by President Eisenhower, and I was like 4th and 5th grade. So when these elements are in the home, the children pick up on it. Okay, and so where do you start? What comes first? I don't know, but it's got to be a situation where there's love and parental guidance and a whole lot of elemental moral and educational elements in the families. It's got to come from there.
So, Ivor, let me jump in if I may and introduce
please.
Ivor this way. Ivor is not just an educator, y'all, but Ivor is a scientist who is an educator. And Ivor has a nonprofit called the Traveling Space Museum. And literally in his Traveling Space Museum, there are life-size structures of the space shuttle, hands-on activities for children to experience and guide, and land probes and planes and a variety of different things that he takes to elementary schools. And we're now talking, Ivor and I are working to bring it. It actually has been in Compton schools, but we want to now bring it into South LA schools and sit it on the campus of Southwest College and bring elementary schools to it to expose them to another opportunity that they have. To do that, Ivor became very close to Nichelle Nichols, who some of you will admit to watching Star Trek know her as Uhura. And there is a film now, Women in Motion, that talks about her experiences and captures her contribution to women in the space agency, space program. All that comes to the work of Ivor. So he was on the call, and I wanted to make sure that was said about him before he jumps off. I believe in recognizing and honoring those who've contributed to our community's success whenever you can. So thank you, Ivor, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work.
Rob, there's a question in the about barbershops, and I mentioned it earlier that the barbershop comes. Some of you might remember the Black Barbershop campaign that was generated by Tony Warford and Brother Bill Rutherford, the podiatrist and physician that helped explain to the Black community, to particularly Black men in particular, why they needed to be tested for HIV and what the progress in treatments and solutions and such not in HIV. We want to take that same strategy and move it. We haven't kicked it off yet. We hope that it will become a national activity, but our intention is to just make it move throughout the state of California, utilizing the same foundation and relationships that Tony Warford and others have developed here in California as a way to quickly get out news and information. Some of the video we have today. Brother Raw, we talked about continuing this conversation. I'm not trying to end it. I just wanted to make this point while folks are still with us, that we talked about now coming out of the convention. And I want to say that Barry Thomas reminded me that the reason you watch the Democratic convention or the Republican convention is for educational purposes, so that you can talk about what you heard them say or talk about what you heard them not say, being informed and not hearing it secondhand, but actually seeing it, listening to it as it happens or in tape delay or whatever. But we want to talk next week more broadly about what she has said and what Walsh, her vice president nominee, has said, because those are the points that we want to reinforce or question if they don't critically articulate our interests. All right, I'm supporting her, but at the same time, I want to make sure that if I hear you say something's important, that I have the opportunity when I do to say to her or her people, this is important, that I reflect that on your behalf, and that you have the opportunity to reflect it when you have that shot, so that, if you bump into them, at your church, you can say that on the conscious call that the issue was talked about, and here's what we decided we wanted you to be thinking about, or we wanted you to have a position on. We have to do that. That builds then the influence that we have as a collective community, not an isolated individual, but that you speak on behalf of those who you've congregated with and talked with and reached understanding with, like we're doing today. So, Brother Raul, again, I want to thank you for this opportunity to have this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's not over.
I want to step in here.
Go ahead, Renee.
I asked the question about the barbershops. For me, I mean, we are all rallying now around Kamala, but we seem late. And like Danny just said, we don't have this barbershop thing in place. what can we do now to get to touch these young people? Because as many of you said, they're not listening, and it's not going on in their home where they're being taught. So I'm thinking already we got to be prepared for the next election, but what can we do now to get to these young people, these people that are 18 to 40 years old that are not participating? And I just want to get some ideas out here on what we can do, how we can reach them, and make this happen the way we want it to happen.
Then you want to respond, then I'll respond.
Can I respond?
Yes.
Yes, Sinclaire.
Hey, cousin Renee. I love everything I've been hearing, and I love that you guys are having this conversation. But if we think about it and look at the chat, I'm probably the youngest person on here. I'm 30 years old. I'm the only person within my generational age range on this chat. So my question, and I guess my answer to that, the answer first is figuring out what our needs are, our wants are as a younger generation, because our fight is not your fight. It's a total different fight. And then the second thing is how many individuals under the age of, I would say 35, have you guys really sat down, talked to, listened before you talked to kind of hear why they would vote for Trump or why they would not vote for Kamala? Because the people that I talk to and that are against her, one, the main reason is they think that Trump gave us all this money during COVID, which helped, whatever it helped. Two, they think that Kamala imprisoned majority of Black men and they're scared to go to jail themselves when they're possibly not even doing the same things that got those men convicted. And then the other thing is my generation, like you guys are talking about church and stuff, but my generation, our grandmothers will be 50 to the ages of 60 or something around around that age. 65, maybe 70, the oldest. In most families I know. We don't have that grandmother anymore that sits us down, that talks us through struggles, talks us through pain, talks us through the unknown and the discomfort to help us grow, to make us be accountable for ourselves. So a lot of it is, one, we're scared to grow because we don't know where we're growing and where we're walking to, and we don't have that guidance, and we don't trust whoever it is around us to guide us. The second thing is nobody is demanding. When I was younger, knew a vast majority of elders around my dad's age or just my dad's friends that I had to listen to. There's a lot of kids that don't have to listen to their dad's best friend or their mother's best friend or a family friend. They only listen to their parents. So in this sense of like getting that family, that barbershop, that praying grandmother back, I think just securing us and letting us know that you guys have our backs before you guys try to like steer us in a direction that we don't know, and then teaching us several different directions instead of just giving us two options or one option will help us, because we're in a generation of internet. We have 1,000 million trillion options each day, every 5 minutes of the day, where we're scrolling and looking at new things. So it's one, understanding that we don't have critical thinking also in the schools around us anymore. We don't have to critical think. Everything there, like you said earlier, you're giving your son the ballot. My dad does that for me. And I don't ever really truly challenge that or critically think about why am I voting for this person, other than when I had to vote for Biden, and I didn't understand that because of his own past, and that's a whole other story. But within this, I think it's just grabbing a young person's hand and listening to what their need is, and then showing them how Kamala fits that need.
Okay, can I jump in, please?
Yes.
How you doing, Sinclaire?
I'm doing fine. How you doing?
Do you know that I'm looking for people like yourself to help us bridge the things that we're doing to the younger generations? I've been doing this for 4 years, Professor Ra also, and we're looking for people in your age category to join us and become a podcast host so you can not only start learning some things through the interaction with us, but also engaging other people like yourself in these type of, podcasts and events and stuff. We're here. I didn't open my whole program up to everybody that I know, and we're not getting people to come on and start doing things in their interests. And see, the thing about it is we want to make sure that we're doing things in a way that is sort of kosher to everyone. But we need people like you, to be honest, and I'm willing to talk to you offline to see how you can contribute to what we're doing. So I'm glad you're here, and hopefully we can talk later on. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, yes, I would love to speak more on that and get involved. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I think you should share your information with everybody on this line, because we all may know young people like Sinclaire, and that would be interested and motivated to work with your organization. So if you'd be willing to share it with all of us, maybe we can all pitch in and help you grow that podcast, uh, the podcast that you want to develop.
Danny,
Willing to do that?
Go.
I guess we could put it in the chat.
yeah, put it in your chat also. Okay. We
And Brother Ra,
yeah,
the last time you saw Sinclaire, she was 4, about to be 5.
probably at your campaign office too.
That's where it was.
Yeah. Brother Dan, you have any closing comments? Then I'm gonna close out.
Okay, I thought I saw a hand though before was that Ahi that had a hand?
Yes, it was, brother. And this young lady who just spoke just cleared up a lot for me, from my therapist to the barbershop. But these people were like in their 35, 40 years old. And they were talking about their options from Kennedy to Trump. And the more I hear about Kamala, the more I want to deal with Trump or Kennedy. And you just don't know what you did for me, young lady. And I'm taking that information. It's going to be part of my position when I listen to these younger people talk about this election. Thank you very much. I'm glad you were here, because you may help me
Thank you.
deal with these young people, because I was just perplexed prior to you speaking to me about this. So thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for you, for your position. You have been a good sin for me, and I'm going to use that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say 2 words here? Well, maybe more than 2 words. I was listening to the young ladies talk about her generation. Her fight is not our fight. If you're African American, if you're Black, we all have a collective fight. There is no separation or segregation between us other than age. But we all fight for the same thing. I'm 70 years old. I'm still vital. I'm still kicking ass where I am. And I'm telling other people, don't age out too soon. Don't get old too soon. But the fact is, we all have the same fight. We all looking for equality. We're all looking for an equal share. We're all looking for our place on the planet. So I know as a 30-year-old, as a 20-year-old, as a 10-year-old, you're still looking for those things. You still want those things. You still should have those things. They are your inalienable right. So the fact is, we all share these things. And I'm really happy that Kamala, I was actually hoping for Michelle Obama to jump in, but Kamala, and what you're hearing these days are sound bites. When you hear things about Donald Trump, these are sound bites, but you have to look at the whole picture.
You have to look at the whole Donald Trump. You can't look at a segment like, oh, he did this one good thing. How many, excuse my French, effed up things has he done? He's racist from the word go. He's just placating to make people think he's okay. He doesn't like black people more than KKK likes black people, but he will play to that. And he will use these little sound bites and his little minions to paint a picture. And these are just moments. You got to look at the whole picture. So when you're explaining to other young people about Donald Trump, tell them to look at the whole Donald Trump.
So you just cleared our whole argument, right? From my generation to your generation and how we are separate. You started with, we are all fighting for equality. My generation is not fighting for equality in the same way you're fighting for equality. You guys are 70 years old, right? Or could be younger. And my dad was the first out of 10 black kids at Morningside. I can't fight that fight. I'll never have that. Maybe in a bigger, major corporation, but I'm not going to have that fight if I'm a regular civilian on the street and I'm not trying to be in a major corporation. I'm not fighting for equality. And the reason why, again, you just made another valid point, my generation loves Donald Trump, is because our fight is financial freedom. We're trying to buy a house. I know people 35 and over still living in their mother's house because they can't afford to get their own house or their own apartment or whatever it is, and they have a great job, a nice job at that. But the financial freedom that the burden that we have from finances was not the same burden, or you guys probably had that same burden. I don't want to say what you guys didn't have, but your focus was the freedom fighters, Black Panthers, the riots, fighting for real equality, racism equality, and things of that nature. Our fight is, can I afford this car or this house after I just worked a 12-hour shift and I'm a nurse, but I cannot because I didn't get my bonus because whatever reason COVID affected that. So whatever I was banking on or thought I had, it got swept away during whatever it is, during all these different things, whether it be the recession, whether it be COVID, whether I lost my job, whether I lost my mom because she lost her life through COVID and I spent all this money with medical bills. Our fight is financial. So when it comes to Kamala or Donald Trump and you don't know that the Democratic Party gave you the stimulus checks, which majority of my generation does not know that, they're going to go for Trump because Trump is the one that took a picture with the check. He takes a picture with rappers. He brings rappers to his conventions, and then he supports rappers. Who's like right now we have Kanye West. Kanye West is one of the biggest rappers in the world, and the reason why he supported Donald Trump was because of Larry Hoover. When he realized within these last couple of months Larry Hoover was not going to come home, he stopped supporting Trump. So then he lost that in the vote. But then Donald Trump still went after other popular rappers, where you have mass majority of kids that are into hip hop because hip hop is the #1 genre of music right now. So they're going to go after whatever and listen to whatever because there's no critical thinking and there's no grandmothers or strong fathers, like he said, that are telling you, no, this is right and this is wrong. But let me listen to you actually as a leader, because that's what I am in my household or whatever that is, whoever you are, you're a servant. So as a leader being a servant, you serve the people around you by listening to what their needs are. So as a kid, if your need is to go to college, but you couldn't get this grant and you have to pay back all these student loans and now you're in debt, but you just got a $1,200 check, I love Donald Trump. Kamala put my uncle in jail
Wait,
for
wait,
40
wait, hold
years.
on,
Wait,
hold on, hold
hold
on.
on 1 second. Kamala, I'm speaking for another person. Kamala just put my uncle in jail for 40 years due to 8 grams of weed, but I just got $1,200 to pay my rent or pay towards the student loans. But I'm unintelligent because I didn't take the time out, or whoever around me didn't take the time to tell me the Democratic Party was the person that gave me that money. So when you talk to 20 people under the age of 35 and you don't inform them, just ask them a simple question. How do you think you got those stimulus checks? Or do you think that Donald Trump gave you guys money during COVID? If you ask that simple question and just leave that there, you're going to hear more yeses than you hear, no, he didn't give us
It's
that.
because they're good with the sound bites. And
But
the Democrats are bad with the sound bite. The Democrats do
I
more
understand that.
for
What I'm
us
just saying is
as
we have to
people.
remove the ego and just get out into the community and just get 5 young people and say, walk with me this way to the store, or walk with me to the grocery store, or walk with me to go buy some roses. And I'm going to take you to a place where there's women. And I'm going to show you also how to be a man and a gentleman and provide for women. And then I'm going to teach you how to support a Black woman while she's empowered. That's our main
Well,
fight.
you know what? I got to say
This
this: young people have to stop being so gullible. And really, and I don't mean to come down, but if somebody came and said, "Hey, little girl, I got some sweet things over here in my van. Come with me," you ain't gonna go with them. Donald Trump is that guy.
Vaughn.
He's telling, yes, sir.
Vaughn, we're gonna continue this next week, but let me just say this: we gotta close out, and let Danny say his statement, then I'll close out. But
all right, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you.
Next week is a continuation and post convention, going to be led by Dr. Tabor, and all of you can make commentary if you watch it. If you don't want to watch it, that's on you. But we will be here Tuesday, and we are here tomorrow night. But go ahead, Danny, with your closing statement.
Just to be real quick, this is what it's about: not sitting on the fence, having not just the conversation, but having the intentional conversation, as both Vaughn and Sinclaire just did, to listen and to hear, and then to respond. It's got to be for us to move the needle with young people. As Sinclaire said, we have to hear what they're talking about, not just listen to it and then want to overtalk it, but listen to it and analyze it and reconstruct it, as Vaughn was attempting to do, to say it's a sound bite, but recognizing that this generation has been raised by sound bites. That's who they are. They're 15 seconds in a TikTok video or Instagram video. They don't have 30-minute newscasts in that sense. So their news is flashes of a picture with text and on to the next video. We have to be better at communicating in the method and modality that they live in, and bring them to the reality that we know is for us, but it's also for them. It is a shared struggle. It's just different ends of this. I mean, like the great wars have been, people are fighting in different theaters all at the same time. And we have to recognize that our young people see themselves fighting different than we fought, but don't realize it's the same fight, just a different method, just a different topic, just a different goal, but it's the same fight.
Dr. Tabor, before I forget, can you please ask Sinclaire to share this video with her friends and people she know?
Absolutely. I'm gonna have her put it up on her Instagram. So yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right. First of all, again, we want to ask you to tune in tomorrow. We have Brother Sharara out of Atlanta to be speaking. Rashid Muscani will tell you about that. But I just want to make some comments in closing. I'll wait till he finishes showing that. I want to look at the people I'm talking to. That's tomorrow night. A new faculty of thinking. All right, Roger, if you put the regular screen back up. First of all, let me just say that we have a generation of young people that are very active and very strong. Howard University graduated 2,600 people at one time. This year, not counting the other Black colleges and students that have struggled to graduate from the major universities, from Yale to Harvard. We have young people that have organized against gun misuse. We went for the young people that struggled during George Floyd. It was a young girl that took out the camera, the video, the man choking George Floyd. Not the adult, young people. Yes. We have some very conscious and beautiful young people that are organizing and doing things. They're not on TV. They make you think they ain't doing nothing. With or without mothers and fathers in the home. You understand? They are educated and conscious. We have Black students on college campuses doing beautiful things. And as Dr. Dawson was saying, that we have Black people interested in science, trying to learn how to fly planes. We have Black people doing beautiful things and organizing them behind various issues, health issues. It was young people that put forth the gun regulation movement of trying to get that. Young people are whatever they want to, for whatever reason. What we're trying to get is a person that is not doing it and don't know why they're not doing it. You're not going to convince a person that's going to vote for Trump going to change his mind. And you ain't going to change a person's mind that's going to vote for Kamala Harris. What we're trying to do is get new generations of young people that are looking for education. And the other issues is that, we have over parents. There are some mothers that raise excellent kids by themselves. There are some fathers that are single parents that have done a good job of monitoring their kids' behavior, participating in their education. But it makes you think because they put on the news all the ones that's jacking cars and doing things to make you have self-hate. I'm telling you, I've worked with many youth organizations, 100 Black men. They're trying to do things. Other organizations all over the country have gotten youth mentorship programs, scholarship programs, and Kamala Harris grew up, went to Howard. Howard is a Black college. She joined the Black sorority. And they be talking about she ain't Black. You understand? By law, in this country, we don't call each other Black. Well, we do it for political empowerment. But we just think we're human beings. And we move forward. It's the white man that colored people and put a premium on them. We treat everybody equal. I live in the midst of Compton. And me and the Latinos get along good. We don't bother nobody. They work, they do what they got to do. There ain't no hatred and prejudice. Well, I'm just trying to say to young people, don't give up on your people. In barbershops and beauty salons, if you can go get some leaflets and talk to those that want to be talked to, fine. But those that won't be involved, don't waste your time. Go to people that really want to listen and learn, if they do. Because you spend more time trying to get somebody that ain't gonna change the change. It's like a young lady going with a man that's on dope and a hardened street brother. And she thinks she could change him because we love, affection, and cooking him eggs and fried chicken in the morning. That ain't gonna get it. He gotta want to change. And these people that are out there that not politically engaged, they gotta be motivated, inspired by your example. You are the best teacher of those people to get them to understand. And it ain't no generation gap. There's no generation gap. That old folks with jerry curls running around doing the hip hop stuff, rapping better than Ice Cube. You understand? I see them at the last night. Their radio be blasting louder than the youth. So, I don't let this system say we are a generation gap. How you going to be a gap between the people that gave you life, your mother and father? Are you a generation gap from them? No. As the brother said, we all in this together. And the racism we talking about is still here. And the discrimination we talking about is still here. It makes you think you unqualified for some job when they coded your application that you're a person of color, like Trump them did. And all this stuff about Trump. Trump didn't give the money for COVID. It was Biden that gave the money for COVID. All you have to do, as the brother said, read and learn. Yeah, Trump lied the way he breathed. He gave the world life as far as he's concerned. You understand? So I don't know what to say, but other than we love you young people. we all have children. Most of us online have children. And we raised them to go to college, raised them to be good. And we raised them to have values and ethics. But we don't see ourselves as indifferent. Now maybe I'm off and maybe you see youth different and we appreciate that. But I've seen some beautiful youth. I go to graduations, I've been graduation speaker. And we, all over. And those kids are so happy to get a high school diploma or a college graduate. And I'm not saying don't deal with the homeless families and don't deal with the brothers and sisters that's in dysfunctional homes. But I'm saying that we also have to recognize those that are doing the good thing, as well as help those who are not fortunate to have a strong home or a strong environment or a strong mind. Mental illness is a terrible thing and it's on the streets. We see it every day. So without that, we're going to close out. Rashaki, you there? And close us on out. And hopefully you'll tune in next Tuesday to hear Dr. Tabor and the post-convention commentary. Go ahead.
Okay. Tomorrow, we have Brother Chawara, New Faculty of Thinking, Part 3. He's been on twice talking about the new Faculty of Thinking. And if anybody is interested and want to be here, it's just like he got on this evening. You just put join Zoom meeting right underneath the guest and the topic. So I appreciate everybody coming out this evening. It was very enlightening, and I can't wait for next week. So each one teach one in Conscious Corner. Everybody have a great evening.
All right.
I say.
Later. Let's go catch up.